group appointments. Jill, who has applied to join committees? Who would like to join up?
Sorry, I just saw Councillor Pennington raise his hand. Yes, Councillor Pennington's advised that he'd like to join the Finance and General Purposes Committee.
Right.
And also Councillor Nightingale would like to join the Events Steering Group.
Do we don't have to, do we have to vote on that, Jill?
So basically, yes, please, you need to vote on the committee membership, and I can add Councillor Pennington to the Finance and General Purposes, and I can add Councillor Nightingale to the Events Steering Group. But if there's any other members here this evening that want to step on or step off of a committee, I can make notes for that, and we can resolve to agree the new list.
Good.
Yeah,
Are there any other?
Green sent a message to us all on chat. His internet's being a bit funny at the moment. He wanted to join finance. Is that correct, Councillor Green?
So that's Councillors Green and Pennington on finance. Councillor Wallin.
Yeah, just wanted to check. We are automatically remaining on the ones we were on, aren't we? We don't have to leave and rejoin, do we?
No.
I didn't think we did.
Jill? Was that just confirmation?
Yes.
All right, thank you. So is everybody in, is everyone in agreement with Councillors Pennington being on the Finance and General Purposes?
Yep. Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Nightingale, you all right with that?
Yep.
Right. And everybody in agreement? Everybody in agreement with Councillor Nightingale on the events? Yes? All right, thank you.
And
Is
sorry,
the sound really bad?
Councillor Green to go finance as well.
Beg your pardon? Yes, thank you, Councillor O'Connor. And everybody in agreement with Councillor Green being on the Finance and General Purposes. Lovely. Thank you very much. Sorry about the hiccups.
Yeah.
Item number 9. Over to you, Councillor O'Connor.
Sorry, okay. This is just the normal bank accounts that we've got and the reports that follow. There is a summary report as well. Receipts and payments in the same format as we've shown that the council year-end audit show. So it's in there, but the broken down version with line by line is in the annual budget by combination code. So you can see that this last year and against this year. So we'll be producing these reports each month from the Reata system, the finance system, as we go forward. Anybody who wants a particular item analysed out and know what's in it, please let us know prior to that, because we can get that off for you. So for instance, if you saw something in under the petrol code and you wanted to see how many receipts made that up, we can show you that, okay? But obviously we wouldn't show it, otherwise the report would be too big. So if everybody's happy with the format, we will continue on with the format through the year of that. So that'll be your bank statements, so that you can see where we are at the bank. That will be your income reports, that you can see what checks were paid out and what direct debits and that lot went out through the month. So you've got a list of the suppliers there. And then you've got the reports, the summary and receipts report in 2 different formats, so that you can see everything going through in the 2 different formats. So can I just ask if everybody's happy with those formats and if they're happy for them to go forward? Yeah.
Everybody? I mean, this is really clear, Councillor O'Connor. Thank you very much for all the work you've done. Because I don't think anybody doesn't understand the financial reports that we get now on a regular basis.
Thank you. This is as good as, I mean, this Chloe is putting all the information onto the system. I'm just pulling the reports off. So it's, you know, this is the hard work that's being behind the scenes now. And we're really happy the way things are progressing on this. It's looking good. So that's pleased. So if you're happy with that, we'll report on that every month the same way. And then, as I said, if anybody does have any queries about a particular cost centre, a particular code, please ask us beforehand and we'll supply that at that meeting. Okay.
That's lovely. Thank you to yourself, Clark and Chloe, for all the work.
Thank you.
Item number 10. Jill.
Thank you. So as you can see, you've got the annual review now, which is the usual couple of items that we have to confirm our inventory. We've added the 2 new laptops that were purchased the end of last year on this new inventory. And we've got our speed watch machine, the memorial benches that were pledged by the Heritage Centre, they have been added. We've got a new desk phone that was purchased when we did the office move. So it is up to date. Obviously, we need this for insurance purposes, so it is important it's kept up to date. So this is, you have a copy for this year's annual review. So if there's any queries, if you contact me or Chloe, and we'll be able to help you if you need any more information.
Thank you. And the annual subscriptions.
Thank you. So the next item is the confirmation of insurance cover. As you can see, it's due for renewal in August, but it's always you know, prudent that we do this every year so that you're aware of the cover that we have. As you know, last year, you might not remember, we entered into a 3-year agreement so that we had a slightly reduced premium. So it will continue for the next 2 years, and that will be due to be paid in August, on the 19th of August. But you've got the policy schedule, the confirmation of the insurance details, and the employer's liability certificate I've sent you all.
Lovely, thank you for supplying that.
Any questions? I say, please do get in contact if you've got any, you know, particularly questions around the insurance. If I can't answer it, I will certainly be in touch with Payment Company, our broker, and they're always helpful and able to answer any queries. Okay, shall I move to the annual subscriptions?
Yes, please, Jill. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. I understood that we had made a subscription to the Campaign for the Protection of Rural England. Was that a one-off contribution or does it continue? Thank you.
So I do ask the planning committee each year. I haven't assumed that that's a continual subscription. I do ask the planning committee. I mean, it is something that I think we haven't made full use of, but I'm hoping after this situation, we come out the other side, that it's something we can actually make use of, because we haven't really used it to its potential yet. And I think there is a lot we can get from it to do with planning and neighbourhood plan as well. So I'd like to work with, you know, maybe Councillor Dr. Hannah Scott and Councillor Confident and look at that.
Thank you, Jill. Thank you.
Councillor Cornwood?
Councillor Scott, I'm sorry.
Yes. So just, I actually missed something that I wanted to say on a previous agenda, but now it's kind of, it links in quite nicely. On the planning, highways and environment terms of reference, it talks about matters related to the environment. I was wondering, I think, you know, because we kind of do discuss things like campaign to protect rural England and things like that. It's when you talk about the environment, often it's kind of just sort of like the surroundings, but I was wondering if we could add the environment and environmental sustainability to the terms of reference, if everybody's happy with that. So we understand the word environment in a kind of sustainability kind of thing.
That sounds really good.
I think it would read matters related to the environment and environmental sustainability, if everybody's happy with those extra words to the terms of reference.
Jill, are we all right to do that at this point?
That's what I think we've already done the resolution, and I think maybe we ought to not go back to that item now. I think I'd be happy if we do that at the next meeting and cover it then, if that's all right.
Yeah, no worries. Sorry, I forgot that it wasn't, the terms of reference wasn't a separate agenda item, and I didn't have the agenda up. Sorry.
No, that's all right. But can you make a note of what you want amended or included, and then we can do it at the
Yes.
next meeting? Is that all right, Jill? Good.
Yes, please.
All right. Thank you, Councillor Scott. The list of direct debits and standing orders. Did we look at that?
Thank you. Yes, that's just the actual list from the bank account. Obviously, at the moment we have our gas and electricity provided by British Gas. So those are the two top direct debits you see there. The campaign to protect rural England, we did pay that by direct debit. The driver and vehicle licensing is obviously the road tax for our truck. The Information Commissioner's Office, we pay that annually. That's a fee that we have to pay to register the premises and the Town Council. Phoenix Link is the broadband and telephone provider for us currently. Siemens and Smart Office Solutions are the photocopier lease, and the maintenance for the copier is Smart Office. And then we have two direct debits set up for SW Business Stream, which is Southern Water Business Stream. One's for the allotments and one is for the office.
Thank you, Jill. Right, item number 11, public participation session. We don't have any members of the public, do we? Tuning in, requesting? No. All right, thank you. Item number 12. Over to you, Councillor Pennington.
Thank you very much. Councillor Hannah Scott and I, together with the clerk, had a virtual meeting at the end of last week with Sir Roger Gale. It was prompted firstly by statements that he had made in relation to the importance of conserving agricultural land, particularly so that the nation can feed itself in the future. And we had also a document prepared by Hannah Scott on planning, which was very helpful, and I'd recommend it. If you haven't seen a copy, I'm sure the clerk can make one available, or Councillor Scott. I mean, I briefly explained that we're concerned about the Thanet local plan, which is heading for approval, and expressed all the difficulties that we had with it, both in terms of the substance and the process. Sir Roger explained to us that he'd had meetings firstly with Chris Pincher, who is Minister of State for Housing, and also with George Eustace, who is in the Ministry of Agriculture, whatever they call it now. And we talked through the process. We understand that TDC is hoping to have approval for the local development plan, which of course includes the provision for 2,000 houses here in Westgate and Garlinge, sometime in July. He made some comments about the procedure for planning requests. Firstly, that there used to be a kind of veto on local development plans from the Ministry of Agriculture if it affected Grade 1 agricultural land, that somehow this power of veto had disappeared. Secondly, he pointed out to the need to put conditions on the use of Section 106 money, which is the money provided by developers to ensure that the infrastructure surrounding their projects is fully provided. And then he commented that there were lots of ideas floating around about the planning procedure and how it should be improved, and also particularly in relation to Thanet, he mentioned a couple of possible sites which could be freed up as brownfield sites in the not too distant future. And the conclusion was really that we might contact the Overseas and Scrutiny Committee in TDC and follow up with TDC councillors. I managed, because in fact the meeting of the overview and Scrutiny Committee was yesterday at 5 o'clock, and thanks to very swift footwork on the part of the three of us, we managed to get a letter sent out to all TDC councillors, which of course included those members of that committee, yesterday morning. I tried to contact Councillor Bob Bayford, who was the chair of that committee, but ended up sending him an email asking him to read our letter and take it into account. And I'm afraid I don't know what the outcome of that meeting yesterday evening was, but I think it's important, and we did speak about this afterwards, that we follow this up with individual TDC councillors. I don't know, that sort of sums up my note. We picked up from him the idea of doing an environmental study of the whole development plan as it stands, and in particular the plans relating to Westgate and Garlinge. And there were various ideas of how we might go about that. Hannah, do you want to take over? Councillor Scott? Oh, was it something I said?
You can hear my dog in the background, sorry, if I am using it as
Yes.
So yeah, I think that's a good summary. It was actually, I suggested to Sir Roger Gale that there is one benefit to the local plan in the fact that there is, I think there's a clause going to be coming out which suggests that any large development should have biodiversity gains. So you can't lose biodiversity by having a development. And he was quite interested in that, and he explained lots of different things that he's been involved in the past with regards to biodiversity. So I think he was quite interested in this concept, and I suggested that perhaps we need to have a study of the land around the outside, because there's lots of plants, lots of different wildflowers of sort of at least 3 feet depth all the way along the outside, including lots of different trees and shrubs. So that's something that perhaps we can think about in the future. We have some money set aside for the local plan, and if we got an independent, I mean, I could do the study, but that wouldn't be independent. So we'd need to pay somebody to do it independently, and therefore we'd actually be able to prove whether there is any biodiversity gains or if there's a biodiversity loss by what Millwood Homes is presenting. So that's something that we can do. And also he was quite eager for us to have discussions with the schools and also the medical centre, and perhaps sort of get them all in the same room, because he's spoken to the manager of the medical centre, and their discussions don't marry up with different things that we've discussed in the past. So we need to get everybody all in the same room, the head teacher of St Saviour's, of St Crispin's, and the manager of the medical centre, and then we can start to actually, if these houses go ahead, which it looks like they will, unfortunately, we need to know what we would accept. Would we accept the medical centre being on that site, or are there other sites? It's only by getting everybody in the same room, including Bronwyn from the community centre as well, that then we can actually discuss a plan and think about what actually we want as as the town.
That sounds really good, but there's quite a lot to arrange there, isn't there? Martin, when you said we, does that mean with TDC or we as the town council? When you were talking about the environmental study in the development plan.
Well, it's along the lines that Hannah was mentioning, that it needs to be an independent study.
Right. That's the same.
I don't have strong views on how it might be put together, and we didn't altogether explore that. There were some names cast around. I don't know if Hannah has any comments.
Councillor
Yeah,
Scott?
I think there's an ability to find an independent ecological surveyor through links through the university, but it's something for us to discuss in the future at a full council meeting perhaps. But it was a very useful meeting with Sir Roger Gale, and we are pleased that you know, he is putting pressure to make sure that this plan is as sustainable as possible. It's tricky because even if we did reduce the number of houses and we proved that the population wasn't increasing as fast as they're suggesting, so Roger Gale admitted as well that this looks like it's a transport-led plan. So as we've suggested years in the past, it's the road that is dominating and dictating the sites, not the other way around. They're not choosing sustainable sites. They're actually looking at this road, which has actually been an idea for years and years. You know, he said this idea of a road coming from Brooksend Farm round to Shottendane Road and up to Margate, that's been something that's been in the pipework for years, and so it is a road-led, a highways-led plan, and they need the money to pay for this road, and therefore that's the reason for these sites being along this road, as well as obviously, you know, it's a bolt-on to sustainable towns as well. But it's just unfortunate that they're using a methodology and the National Planning Policy Framework, which is a one-size-fits-all framework, to fit Thanet, which, you know, it just doesn't fit Thanet. But we can keep on saying that until we're blue in the face, but nothing's going to change until Sir Roger Gale takes it to government and actually has that changed, you know, really up there. It's not going to get changed at TDC.
I mean, when at the CALC inaugural transport conference, the KCC transport officer said that Highways England have a huge amount of money to spend on roadways. You know, for every well, I don't remember the exact figures he said, but they do spend a lot of money, and they have got a lot of money to spend. So I'm not sure why they don't tap into that rather than Councillor, Town Clerk, sorry. Jill.
Thank you. I just wanted to add that I was going to explore with James Wright at Kent County Council, because I know he was talking about a funding bid to help with this road, and I didn't know how far, or because I know there were stages they had to meet. They've met stage 1 and they were working towards stage 2, but obviously with the current situation, I don't know if that has progressed any further, but I can certainly explore that for members.
Good. Was there any indication with Sir Roger Gale that there would be a follow-up conversation, or any point in the future? Would he get back to you, Councillor Pennington?
I
Just wonder where it's
think
going.
nothing specific that I recall, but I think it was in the spirit of the conversation that we would certainly go back to him and keep in touch on this.
Good. So all in all, it was really beneficial.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, we knew
That's
from
good.
the start that many of his concerns are the ones that we share. So we got off to a good start in terms of where we were both coming from, and it was a question of what do we do about it.
Well, he was very positive at the pavilion meeting, wasn't he, originally?
Yes.
Councillor Scott.
Yeah, I think it was a good meeting, and he is, you know, he is sort of stating his concerns, which will then be raised by his councillors at TDC, and the councillors that are on the local plan group as well, such as Councillor Matthew Scott, and other, you know, Conservative councillors that are on that as well. But he's kind of, you know, suggesting that these questions need to be raised. So he's working through that route. We're working through, you know, communicating with those that we know, the TDC councillors, and I think, you know, using that kind of many-pronged approach is quite a good one to be able to have these questions raised. But also, I think it's very important that he knows the Minister for the Environment or Minister for Agriculture very well. And so therefore, these kind of issues that we have, hopefully, you know, in a next meeting, we can actually ask something that, you know, ask him to ask a question of this minister. So I think this is a really interesting route into, you know, into government.
No, that sounds really encouraging. Does everybody feel encouraged by that report from the meeting? Good, good. Are we ready for item 13? The appointment of chaplain for the town council. Jill, do you have any comments to make here? Jill, do you have anything to tell us on this one? I know that Susan Wing, she was born and bred in Westgate, so if anybody knows the needs of the community, it's Susan Wing.
Yes, I just wanted to say that obviously since she was appointed last year, we didn't have many months before we were in this situation with the lockdown. So it's a shame that I think she hasn't had very much opportunity to engage with the town council up until now. But I know that she's very passionate, and she has emailed me a couple of times and kept in contact. So I think that she will be an asset, and you know, when we get to the situation again, we're having events, and particularly Remembrance weekend and things. The Poppy's out in the town. You know, she'll be there, and I think it's a good option for the town council to have her as chaplain.
Absolutely. Does anybody have any? Councillor Donaldson.
Yeah, I think Susan Wing would be a very good choice. She's I kind of know her personally, in that she buried my mother a few years ago, which wasn't a very happy event. And she's she's a very sort of warm, kind person. And I've also spoken to her since her appointment last time, and she's very enthusiastic about being the chaplain for the town council. So she made a good appointment.
Good. Is that a proposal?
Yeah, that's a proposal that we appoint Susan Wing.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Hannah Scott. And all in favour?
Yep.
All in favour. Thank you. Thank you. And the final item on the agenda, number 14, the appointment of Councillor Internal Auditor for the Town Council. This is existing Councillor O'Connor. Do we have any nominations? Councillor Pennington.
Well, I'd like to nominate Councillor O'Connor for the post.
Thank you. And seconded by Councillor Donaldson. Thank you. All in favour? Lovely. Thank you very much. Well, that's it. I don't have a clock. I'm sorry, Jill, I don't know what the time is.
44.
It's 1944.
Right. Well, thank you to everybody. And I look forward to seeing you at the next full council meeting.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Councillor O'Connor. Everybody go safely. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye all.
Bye-bye.
Hi then.
Good night.
Bye-bye.